Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Cronos the New Dawn because I just beat the game and, well, it's way better than I ever could have hoped because, you see, I am a horror fanatic. Some of my favorite series of all time are Silent Hill and Resident Evil and Dead Space, and in a lot of ways, Cronos legitimately combines all three of those. Spacesuits, blown out apartment buildings, crazy monsters, weird boss fights, safe rooms. I mean, this is straight up the new survival horror goodness. But I want to break it down because I almost feel like for all the goods and bads we're going to explore in this game, I really feel like the primary problem I have with it is that in a lot of ways, it feels like they're trying too hard to be scary. And at times, I think they forget to be fun. But let's talk. Hi, hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, what is Cronos the New Dawn? Essentially, we're playing as a time traveler. Now, this is a very strange setup, but it actually works extremely well. You're a time traveler being sent back to 1980s Poland during the fall of the Soviet Union, a time that is very, very bleak. But in this time period, in this timeline, things are extra bad because there has been this mysterious event called the Change, where people have begun to mutate, to become monsters, to merge, to basically become actual biomass. A lot of times, the walls are covered in goopy, breathing mess, but when you're trying to go through this, you're searching for particular survivors, the essence, the souls that haven't moved on. The travelers are part of this group called the Collective, and it seems like whenever one dies, they just send another one back. So throughout the course of this, you keep finding other dead travelers. But everybody seems so dedicated to the cause. Everybody that you encounter, even when you find living travelers and stuff, they're also dedicated to the cause. We must progress. We must find the essence. We must solve this. But I think what works really well about the story just in general is that it never explicitly spells stuff out. You really don't understand the goal of the Collective. Like, they talk about it, but you're never just straight up sat down and said, hey, here's what they're trying to do. Hey, here's what's going on. There are these interesting clues that maybe even the Collective caused all this. There was a moment pretty early in the game, maybe 2 or 3 hours into it, where I was walking along and suddenly on a wall, there was all these drawings, these conspiracy red threads and stuff of this guy trying to figure out what's going on with the Change, with Poland, with the government. And there was a drawing of the Traveler. And I actually had to just sit there for a second and take it in. It actually like jump scared me to kind of feel this weird moment of being seen. The travelers are not supposed to interact with people. They make it very, very clear. This timeline, even though we are extracting souls, they're people that weren't really relevant. You're here for a particular objective and then you're trying to get out. So when you interact with someone, you find like an old blind lady and stuff like that. A lot of times it's like, all right, it's okay. The timeline has been preserved. I love how the story unfolds, where everybody you encounter, even other travelers and stuff with like artificial limbs and stuff, there is this strange, terrifying, unspoken horror that has just seeped into every single line of dialogue. But let me talk more about the monsters. So the Change obviously turned people into these, well, very Dead Space style beasties, but they have a special ability that makes them extra, extra dangerous. These creatures are called the Orphans. They're essentially things that are kind of not quite connected to anybody else. They are these monsters that just hunt and destroy and hunt and destroy. But what makes them so incredibly cool is that they take on a lot of different forms. Throughout the course of this, you go against, I want to say, about 15 different types of orphans, from wall grabbers to ones that are just big beasties. But each different type of it can also evolve. The motto of the travelers is don't let them merge, because essentially, if an orphan eats the body of another orphan, they go up a level, and they can go up 2 or even 3 levels, growing extra spikes, extra armor, extra abilities like spitting acid. And this is something that makes it incredibly freaking difficult. Cronos the New Dawn does not give you a lot of ammo. Even if you have shotgun shells and a bunch of health kits or a super upgraded pistol, you're still going to die a lot because you are always going to be hungry for those extra shots that you cannot afford to miss. But what I think works exceptionally well about this is that whole fear about almost defending the dead bodies you've already gotten. When you kill these monsters, you actually have to be worried about, okay, if more orphans show up and start eating these, I'm totally screwed. I like the idea of having to actually constantly, situationally be aware of every single fight, every battlefield. Every time you're locked in with these monsters, you have to be very conscious of the space. Now, they're pretty lenient about putting like explosive barrels all over the place. There are also like fuel canisters occasionally. Fire is a very important weapon. You can basically drop a torch, and when you do this, it'll light a monster on fire, but you can also burn bodies. So this again becomes a very strategic resource of basically going, okay, I need to be able to burn those bodies, kill these guys in a clump, light them up, stun the big guy, run around here, and reload. Now, another thing they did in this that I think is actually brilliant is quick crafting. So you are always finding raw materials, sort of like The Last of Us. You'll find like machine parts or chemicals and stuff like that that can be combined to make extra bullets, extra healing items, extra just raw materials, right? Well, when you're getting that, the way it works is that if you actually, like your healing button is triangle, you just hold triangle and it will instantly craft a new one of those if you have the supplies for it, or the particular ammo. If you have your pistol set to up like I did, you just hold up and it quick crafts more ammo. This system actually works exceptionally well because I like the fact that a lot of times in each of the bigger battlefields, when you're actually fighting multiple opponents or during a boss fight, instead of just giving you 10 bullets on the ground, you'll find like 2 bullets and a bunch of chemicals. So in the middle of a fight, you're trying to reload, you're trying to line up that shot, and then at the same time, you're trying to craft ammo, because the other mechanic of this is the upgrades and the charge shot system. So you probably noticed that during all this gameplay, 99% of the time, I'm only doing charge shots. You're probably wondering why I just sit there and like aim at a monster for a couple seconds before I shoot. If you hold the trigger, it will actually do a bigger bonus hit that seems to do way more damage. And as you're doing stuff, you find this currency. In the safe rooms, the other travelers have set up these sort of checkpoints. And by going in there, there's a storage room. So you can actually have a little storage box, an item box straight from Resident Evil. But also you can save it and there is a shop. Certain relics the time travelers enjoy. So if you find like an old camera and stuff, you can actually sell that for big bucks. And by using that currency, you can actually straight up upgrade your weapons, giving them more attack power, faster reload speed, better stability, faster charge shot time. I like the fact that in a lot of these style of games, I always upgrade the basic weapon the most, because typically that's what you're going to get the most ammo for. So having a very strong pistol, typically that's the way to win. In this case, the pistol is called the Sword. It can pierce. It does feel good in this game to get a big old charge shot, double headshot, and take down multiple people at once because you've beefed up your gun so much. But I also gotta say that what really works the best in this game by far is that the world feels so fleshed out. There are notes all over the place, scribblings, audio logs, propaganda posters where everybody is trying to figure out what the change is. Even our character, the traveler, is trying to figure out what the change is, what part we play in all this. And I love the idea of this singular focus of everybody. It is so well written. It is so spooky. Finding scribblings from kids about why daddy won't come out of his room, or just literally so many tiny moments in this that actually freaked me out. Going floor by floor through a completely destroyed apartment building, seeing worse and worse horrors, it works so well. But let's talk about the downside. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I'm going to do an actual score at the end of the video. But the reason I'm giving this a 9 out of 10 is I feel like I enjoy the fact that this doesn't really slow down. There's a decent amount of combat. There's a great amount of ambience. I like the fact that your time travel powers, you're not just a time traveler. In certain areas, you can actually fast forward and rewind objects to build like bridges and stuff like that. What really kind of hurts this game is that the bosses are hilariously easy. The bosses are sometimes the easiest fights in the game, which is odd. I mean, they're the easiest, slowest targets. So even if they take 5 times the amount of bullets, usually it's just a matter of basically running in a big circle and shooting them a bunch. Kind of a flaw. My big problem is that, honestly, the ammo scarcity, the supply scarcity, I do think that in a lot of sections of this game, it does kind of hurt it. It seems like they think it will be more scary if you have less ammo. And in a way it does, but it leads to a frustrating problem. When you die in this game, sometimes the checkpoints are ridiculously ridiculously far apart. There was a time at one point where I was exploring this factory. I got to turn on a bunch of generators. While I was turning on the last generator, I died. It set me back outside the factory. I had to redo the entire section of the game. That happened multiple times where I'm on like the third floor of an apartment that I'm exploring and then I die and I'm back outside. Or times where straight up I'm legitimately like towards the end of something, wrapping through a big maze, I die and it puts me back outside the maze. The checkpoints being far apart, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but when resources are so scarce, when I'm running through multiple areas in a row at low health, where I'm at literally 1 health, I can't find any crafting materials to even make a potion, I can't find a potion, I can't find any way to heal myself, to me, it just almost breaks my brain. For me personally, if something sticks you in the scary zone for too long, it clicks past scary and becomes bland. That's just for me. I felt like so many times I was unable to defend myself, where it was like, all right, it's not that I'm playing bad. I legitimately just don't have the raw materials. And as much as I think this game works, I do think they should have just given us even 10% more crafting materials, 10% more bullets, 10% more of something to make it where I'm not quite so much of a glass cannon through time. Okay, so we've heard some good and some bad, and honestly, I had a very good time with it, but let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Cronos, the New Dawn, a 9 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Some of my friends that were reviewing this said they ran into a bunch of technical problems. I didn't, not at all. I mean, you're seeing my gameplay here. I played this on the PS5 Pro, ran fantastic. No crashes, no glitches at all whatsoever. I think I ran into about 1 frame drop every 3 or 4 minutes. There would be like a 1 second stutter. So I guess I ran into that, but I would say that just in general, game looks good, plays good, is good. This is a new IP by Bloober Team, and honestly, props to them for just keep on killing it.